You know, I'm something of a podcast myself. I'm something of a podcast myself. You know, I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast myself.
All right. Welcome back to yet another episode of Something of a Podcast, the only podcast brave enough to ask, or brave enough to say, I'm something of a podcast myself. I am your co-host, Mike Gamms, and with me, as always, is the incredibly talented KaiVonDoom. Say hello, Kai.
Hello, Kai.
That still makes me laugh every time. This is episode number 16, aka the August installment, or at least the first August installment. That is still TBD, but it is August, and we are here, and we have something of a list of topics to talk about on this episode. It's been I think last time we did an episode was just about a month ago, so we had our July and then now our August. We're on our summer schedule, some podcasts I listen to ain't even put shit out all summer, so we're doing a little bit of summer school, so ain't so bad. How are you doing? How's your summer been going so far?
It's been going.
Yeah.
How's your summer going?
It's going, and just like that, it's like almost over, it feels like, it feels like it was just May, and then now all of a sudden it's August, but I guess that's life and the passage of time. But you seen any good TV shows or movies or anything recently?
Yeah, we both actually went and saw Deadpool recently.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
what'd you
right.
think of that one? Yeah,
The
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, was it called, is the title Deadpool and Wolverine or Deadpool versus
Yes.
Wolverine? It's and,
No, it's
right?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
And Wolverine, because it's a team up.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was fine. I thought it was good, entertaining, enjoyable, like fun. Deadpool's never been my favorite, and Wolverine is never Wolverine is not my favorite, but never been like, I've never been nuts about Wolverine. I think he's cool. He's up there. He's like one of the great, characters, but not me personally. Am I like a big Wolverine guy or a big Deadpool guy? But I really did enjoy the movie. I thought it was fun. And it's sort of gonna, I see what their plans are with it to sort of like kind of bridge things into this, like it's a transition into the MCU. And yeah, what do you think?
So I have never really liked Wolverine. I have been a Deadpool fan. I don't really like Deadpool fans, but I am a fan of the
Yeah.
character. Um, what I liked the most about the movie was all the cameos, because obviously they're trying to bring, like you said, bridge the gap between Fox and the MCU. But like I liked what they did with the Chris cameo. That was a nice switcheroo.
Oh, yeah. I
But
really like
there was a
that.
lot of yeah, there's a lot of people that I felt like were left out that should have been in the movie. Like it doesn't make sense to not have Cable in there to me. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there definitely was. I think there is some that they included that I was really like stoked about. Like I was very happy about like the big appearance, which is our man Blade there, Mr. Wesley Snipes. Um, Spoiler, but I mean that's like everybody knows that, I think, by now. And
yeah.
uh so like its cameos and stuff are part of its like strength, I would say, almost, but also some of the weakness. Like I think I sent you this article that was just out in Variety yesterday where Holly Berry says that she was asked by Blake Lively, which is Ryan Reynolds' wife, if she would
Mhm.
reprise her role as Storm. And she said, yes, if Ryan Reynolds calls me, like if Ryan calls me or, you know, whatever, like make it official, not just you, Blake, Ryan's wife, asking me casually. And she's was like reported, I guess recently she said that Ryan never called. So that's why Storm's not in it. And she would have been. But so
Yeah,
that's
none
kind of
of the
interesting.
black women from like the Fox Marvel universe were really in it because Domino, played by Eats, also movie. So I think that was another miss.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Halle Berry back in Era Storm and some of the other characters. Uh, I seen a post, I think it was today or something. They're talking about a Deadpool and Wolverine 2, which is just like so confusing to me because it's already Deadpool 3 and like Wolverine 8 and like X-Men 10 and like MCU number 39, and it's like, okay, I don't know. I thought like,
Yeah, the numbering doesn't make sense because Deadpool and Wolverine is just the third Deadpool movie. So
right.
I don't, yeah,
So yeah, and I mean, for as much as I like both of them, I think like, can we please like let Hugh Jackman do something else like in his life?
yeah,
Like, man, he's great as Wolverine. He's been like consistent for 20 years, like as one of the, you know, bright spots in representation of superheroes, like of Marvel characters or whatever in television and film. He's been consistently solid, even in the really bad Origins movie. He's good in it, at least. Like he's consistently like good, but it's like, man, I'm ready for something new, you know? But I feel like we're not going to get that considering like we just saw Robert Downey Jr. and Doctor Doom being announced as Doctor Doom or whatever. It's like I feel like they want to stick with these legacy actors more than continue trying to bring in new folk, but I don't know.
yeah. For me, it's not even the actors. I've had enough of Wolverine. I feel like Wolverine is a character that was not one of the most popular X-Men in the comic books, but then with the TV show from the 90s, whoever created that show, whoever was the showrunner, must have been like a huge Wolverine fan. And so from that point on, like Wolverine has just been like the star of the X-Men. And it's just like, I, I don't think he's a character to the point for him
Yeah.
to be like shoved down our throats like this. Like, I don't know. I'd rather the other X-Men have so much more interesting backgrounds and powers and stories. I'd like to see one of them get highlighted more.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm with you on that. Yeah. Um, but I feel like if like because they're bringing the X-Men to the MCU, that's what this is all like a part of. They've been dangling these little like breadcrumbs for years now. I think like if and when they do a full-fledged X-Men movie, if Wolverine's not in it, the people are going to be all angry and complain. Like there,
Okay,
his
but you could have
yeah.
Wolverine be in it and not have it be a Wolverine movie. It doesn't need
Right,
to be
right.
a
Oh yeah,
Wolverine movie. It could be an
I'm with
X-Men movie.
you. Yeah, I'm with you on it. I'm just saying I think that yeah, it's the same reason why they like kind of sandwiched the Joker into the Batman movie too. It's like they feel like audiences are too dumb or don't or can't stand having it without their like we need our Joker, we need our this like in every single one, we need our Wolverine.
Yeah, I'm not
So
saying leave
hopefully.
Wolverine out. I'm saying I'm just tired of the focus on Wolverine.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm right there. I'm like I'm saying I agree with you. We'll just I guess we'll see how they do it moving forward and what um sort of happens there.
Yeah,
Any other thoughts about Deadpool, Wolverine, or I think we talked about the Doctor Doom stuff last week, but if you have any other thoughts
we
about
did.
that or Marvel at the moment,
I don't have any new thoughts on Doctor Doom from what I had last time, but I will say I'm ready for the Blade movie. I am sick of
mm,
waiting. Like the release date keeps getting pushed back further and further. And I think at least a good thing that might come out of this Deadpool and Wolverine thing is that we see how people are excited for Blade. So maybe it'll light a fire under Marvel's ass to finally
Yeah,
get
I
this
hope
movie out.
so, because that has been like the one of the like universally like most praised and positive things from Deadpool and Wolverine is everyone's like Blade, 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 and we've all been like dying for it to Blade to finally come to fruition again because it's been, and as they say, development hell or whatever for quite some time now. So hopefully that finally sees the light of day, or should I say like the dark of night, because you know, vampire or whatever, but yeah. Yeah, yeah, I really yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, you know, where they take all these different things. Just like as always, I could complain about what I dislike or like about what they're doing, but I'm still gonna be on the edge of my seat waiting to see what the next thing they do is.
Yeah,
Uh
I'm
um
ready for the multiverse thing to be come over it. Let's cut this.
yeah, they've like multiversed us to death here, but I don't see an end to that in sight right away. They're gonna keep, I think, but oh well.
Well, yeah, they have to finish the storyline, but
Right,
I'm
right, right.
ready for it to be over.
I feel I'm with you. Um, anything else you've been watching lately?
Not much. How about you?
I've been kind of obsessively watched the Olympics for the last month, like very heavily. Did you happen to catch any of the Olympics?
I've seen bits and pieces. I
Yeah,
haven't been following it too closely, but
yeah.
what have you been watching mainly? Basketball?
Yeah, a lot of basketball, but so I'll tell you actually, so it's related to television and stuff too. Is so I happen to have a Peacock account right now, like my dad's that I used for the month, and the Olympics are on Peacock, which is like the NBC app, and it's kind of a game changer how expansive the Peacock app is for like something like the Olympics, where there's dozens of sports happening all at a time. Like I'm a big track and field person, so I could go watch the live feed of track and field every single day, what was happening, every event, and also on demand. It saves them so you could watch the replays, and you could just pick whichever
Mhm.
sports you like, and you could see every minute of action of that sport from the first rounds all the way to the finals. So I watched every track event, every round. I watched basketball 5-on-5 and 3-on-3, and I watched every game and every round because I could just pick and choose what I wanted to watch. And then I didn't really watch the main feed that was on NBC, but I would see the bits and pieces in the news and stuff. But yeah, so just it was kind of, I've never seen anything like that before, that expansive of a coverage of a sport, just like access to everything without it being like they always make everything more difficult than it has to be and less convenient for like a user. Like this is how everything should be. You should be able to do this with all the like, you know, watch what you want to on demand like that, but I digress. um
I didn't know that.
um
That sounds really cool.
yeah, so that was like pretty interesting. So I like that I could like pick and choose what I wanted to watch. I'd be like a day or two behind, but I could go back and catch up on everything in order, and I could still go back. There's stuff a couple things I haven't missed, or other sports I could check out, and you could go see them on demand um in the Peacock app, which is pretty cool. So I got to give them credit for that. That was yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with a streaming app, which is usually always disappointment with something. But I enjoyed the Olympics overall. I don't necessarily need to get too much into all the sports and all that in it, but I mean, it was competitive, it was fun. And one thing I will say is that holy shit, the hottest people in the world in the tightest clothing doing athletic feats. It was just a bisexual feast to watch the Olympics. I don't know if you've caught how hot some of these athletes are.
Oh yeah.
A lot of you know, in all genders, male, men, women, and non-binary athletes at this year's games, which is pretty cool. Um, unfortunately, I do think that some of the controversy and stuff around different things at the Olympics can tend to overshadow some of the actual discussions about the athletes and stuff. And with that said, I want to talk about some of the controversies and overshadow the athletes. I want to do exactly what I'm saying as part of the problem. But like first, I'm sure you saw the stuff about the Algerian boxer. I gotta double
Yep.
check on I forget what her name is, but there was just this massive conspiracy theory hate campaign transvestigator bullshit where they were claiming that a cis woman was a trans woman because yeah, and it was just all bullshit. And
Mhm.
so I'm sure you caught some of that. Do you have any thoughts on that? I have like a couple thoughts, but I wanted to see what if you had anything to say or anything about that.
Yeah, so her name was Iman Khalif.
That's it.
And um, so I guess the controversy started when she wasn't qualified one year because of some type of gender testing that they make these athletes go through, that she somehow failed. And so it became like this huge thing where they're like, oh, there's a man fighting in women's boxing. And I think a lot of the like it is interesting that these people are so transphobic that they've come around to just spewing hate against a cis woman.
Mm.
But even if she weren't cis, it's still like
Ding, ding, ding,
boxing
ding.
is even if she weren't, it's still so counterproductive. Boxing is done by weight class. Like, so she's obviously in the same weight class as these women either way. So I don't see how it's such an unfair advantage. And she's lost more often than she's won, I think.
Yeah, up until
So
this year, what she did win the gold medal this year, but I think in
yeah,
part because she was so on adrenaline from all this bullshit she's had to deal with.
yeah. So I think the conversation was getting away from us. Too many people were focused on saying, no, she does have a vagina, but at the end of the day, who cares? You're not fighting with your genitals. She's still in the same weight class. Like, it was just, it got to a point where it's just counterproductive.
Yeah,
But I am glad to hear that she is suing J.K. Rowling
yes,
and
and
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. So
I
that's
hope she gets the fuck paid
yep,
because
get your bag, girl,
ridiculous.
because fuck all them. She's suing all the worst people on the planet. It's so great. It's so great. I'm excited
I
about
love to
it.
see it.
Um, one thing I wanted to add about that, not necessarily about the lawsuit, but about the whole discourse around it. My big brain belief is that the transphobes and the TERFs knew exactly what they were doing when they went after her, and they knew that she was a cis woman. But it's all part of like re pushing the narrative and reframing the narrative into a different thing, because then what they were able to do is all the people that would normally be pushing back against them about their boogeyman of like trans women in sports were now claiming this is a cis woman. Like, so they were validating their argument in to some degree by moving the conversation to like, oh no, this isn't one of them scary trans people. This is a cis person. But it's like, well, no, like you're it, it's what they constantly do in politics. I feel like it's like the right gets the left, like tricks the center left, like the liberals, into kind of condemning the thing that we want them to be
Yeah.
on the side of, as a reaction to what the other side did. It's like the same. The best example, like most succinct example of it is there was a time way back in the day, John McCain was touring, and somebody asked a question of him. He was like doing a Q&A, and they were like, Barack Obama is a Muslim, this or that, right? And John McCain's response was, he's not a Muslim, he's a family man, he's a good man. Where it's like, wait, it's the same thing where you like, oh wait, you just you validated what they're saying. I digress, but you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like all the times that people were like, oh, well, she says, and it's like, well, yeah, that's true, but what if she weren't?
Correct.
Then what? Would you not be defending her if she wasn't? Like me personally, like I said, I don't care. It's a fair fight. She's in the same weight class. She won fair and square. Who cares? Also, something that's being left out of the conversation is that whenever there is a cis woman who's like a really good athlete who's being called a man, it's almost always a black or a brown
Ding,
woman.
ding,
I
ding.
never hear these accusations thrown at cis white women. So it's like Serena Williams, her whole career was called a man. So it's like
Hmm.
there's obviously a huge racism aspect that people are leaving out and
Yeah.
conveniently.
And it's not even just athletes. Like, look at, say, Michelle Obama. That's like, I'm sure you've seen, that's been their
Yep.
bullshit, like, conspiracy theory for about 20 years now, is the transvestigating of Michelle Obama just because she's a black woman. Where, like, you
Yeah,
even hear famous.
Sierra, when I was in high school, middle school, there was like a rumor that Sierra was a man. Like this always happens to black and brown women. That we anytime we're in the public eye, it's like, oh, that's a man.
Right.
Or even like all these people who like, yeah, oh, I don't date black women because they're too masculine. Like this has been a narrative that's been going around as long as I can remember. And it's huge misogyny noir. And I just wish
Mhm.
more people would bring that to the conversation instead of constantly pointing out, no, she has a vagina, she has a uterus. Like, who cares?
Right. Yes, because then you're like, Reek, you're responding to their incorrect facts on purpose. It's like it's a trap, It's, yeah. The same thing like when they say oh, the Democrats are, Kamala Harris wants to open the border and let in all the immigrants and all the illegals, and then they come back and say, no, we're actually stronger on the border and support ICE more than you do. And it's like, okay, well, no, that's not the, yeah, okay. Yeah, to me, that's like, yeah. So I don't know, but I'm happy to see that she won a gold medal, and I really hope that she gets a big chunk of change from Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling and really just drags them through the fucking mud about this.
Logan Paul, too. I don't know if
Logan
he's in the
Paul,
lawsuit or not,
yep.
but yeah.
He's another one who jumped the gun on it. So many publications also, they printed the headline. They referred to her as boxer embroiled in gender controversy. Boxer in like in this way that was questioned, left their ambiguity over whether what her gender was and stuff for no reason, like not based on anything.
Yeah. And we got to point out that in Algeria, it is not safe to be a trans person. So
Right.
you're literally putting this woman's life in danger just with
Correct.
your
Yeah.
bullshit
For
conspiracy
one, it would
theories.
never happen because of Algeria being such a like transphobic country. They're not going to put it. They wouldn't put a trans woman on their women's Olympic team. It just it wouldn't happen. And
Yeah.
then it makes it unsafe because it doesn't matter how much evidence now that she has to disprove these transvestigating theories. Once that rumor's out, those people will never turn back on it. There's people that haven't given up on the Michelle Obama thing. They still mention that every time
Yeah.
she's anytime she's in the public eye, anything where she is on Facebook or I mean a video of her or something, there's a comment section. If you see, like, you will see the Michelle Obama is a man thing still 20 years. So this is going to be something these people are going to harass her forever. That's right, Aman Khalif, is that what it was?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's so, yeah, it's put her safety at risk for the whole rest of her entire life. And Elon Musk and Jake Paul, Logan Paul, J.K. Rowling especially are very much the cause of that. And the Fox News, I hope she sues the fuck out of Fox News and whoever else took these stories and ran with it. Every media outlet, yeah, so many people changed their headlines and just didn't say nothing, like because they had to, without even issuing retractions, like they changed it for a reason because they were wrong. So they already admitted that they did something wrong in a way. So we'll see how that litigation goes for her. I hope she is very successful and fuck Elon Musk and fuck J.K. Rowling. Yeah. So yeah, I have another Olympic related thought, but kind of slightly moving on, but it's a different a controversial thing, that talking point about the Olympics, and that is, did you happen to see or hear about the breakdancing competition that was at this year's Olympics for the first time?
Yeah, I know Japan won the gold, but I haven't seen anything from them. I've only seen this woman from Australia.
Correct. Yep, that's what I wanted to talk about. The woman from Australia, Rachel Reagan, or whatever the hell her name is, who scored a perfect 0.0 across the board, and displayed something that does not even resemble breakdancing, and has since been the subject of international ridicule. So what are your thoughts about that situation?
I mean, it looked like she earned the zeros to me.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've read or seen too much about this story, but there's like some backstory about how she wound up there. Have you heard any of this? So
That she's like a professor of breakdancing or something
that's
like
part
that.
of it,
I
but
don't know.
she created her own qualifying round and got a bunch of other qualifying rounds just like qualified, and her husband is the coach of the team. So she created her own tryout by by exploiting loopholes and rules to be able to advance to the Olympics in order to qualify and all this stuff. And then now all of a sudden everyone is like posting. I have this article pulled up right now. It's like New York Post. It says Reagan breaks silence over Olympic breakdancing backlash. Please stop. Like she suddenly, it's all how everyone is mean and she's a victim and we're bullying her. Have you seen some of this?
Oh, no, I haven't. I
Not
haven't
surprising
really
though.
been following the story.
Yeah, white women tears. Yeah. And a lot of people I've seen have been posting, several different people I know I've commented on their post because they posted something like um that they don't think it's right that people are making fun of Reagan, like, because dancing is an expressive art form, and like sometimes I'm the goofy, awkward white person on the dance floor, and I should be free to express myself. I've seen this several different times, this take, and it's just been like, that's not what's going on here. What's going on is that like somebody it they're like, someone is being rewarded for copying someone else's culture and art form at the highest level and being rewarded for it, and then is now being ridiculed by the people whose culture she was stealing and imitating for it, is my take on it, you know? There's the whole culture vulture thing about it. That's, yeah, at play there. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
I feel like since it's a global thing in the Olympics, there has to be a certain amount of culture vulturing, or else it would just be the United States, because
Right.
that's where it originated. So it would pretty much only be open to Black Americans if there weren't culture vulturing involved. But you should at least be good at it and at least respect it.
Right. And I think that's where like some of the source of that like ridicule and backlash is coming from, is that, yeah. Um
Yeah, she
but
doesn't
yeah,
seem to respect it, in my opinion.
right. That sort of this whole like conversation about culture vulturing and all that kind of stuff, I think it reminded me, you sent me this article just recently about this interview with Post Malone. right? And I think
Yeah.
that that's on a very
Yeah.
similar topic where he was talking about he was accused of being a culture vulture. Or do you want to what do you want to tell me tell us more about it? This topic?
Yeah. So Post Malone recently has done the thing that a lot of these white pop stars have been doing lately. I think it kind of started with Miley Cyrus. She was the first one recently to do this, where they hop into like hip hop or rap and try to like, play in it for a second and just be like, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so edgy, I'm this rapper. The hood loves me, like using black people as props. And then all of a sudden they transition into pop music. So it was
Hmm.
Miley, it was Machine Gun Kelly, and recently Post Malone has been doing
And
that.
even before that, Kid
So
Rock. Kid Rock is the godfather of that move.
yeah, yeah, for
Continue.
sure. But these are like the recent ones. It's
Right,
been like
right,
a
right.
very, but Kid Rock has done that. Vanilla Ice has done it. There's been a lot of people in the past who have done it.
Hmm.
But recently, I think it's becoming like more of a like, no, this is like the new way
The
for
path.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. I was gonna say mediocre white people, but Miley Cyrus is not mediocre, and she already had fame. There was no reason for her to even do that. But I digress. Um, Post Malone did an interview and he said when he first came out as a rapper, and now he's a country star or something, but when he first came out as a rapper, he was disheartened that everyone was calling him a culture vulture, and it led him to alcoholism, and he almost destroyed his life.
Yeah, I've
That's
seen that.
another thing that they do. It's not even just hopping into hip hop and then going to something else. It's like, oh, I tried to be friends with these black people and make their music and
They were
appreciate their
mean to
culture,
me,
and they hated me and they bullied me, and
even though I
now
got
my
rich
life is
doing it.
over. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, oh, they ruined my life and I got addicted to drugs or alcohol. And now I'm a nice, wholesome pop star or country singer or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I gave up on that
The
evil
only good
black
thing Post
culture. Now
Malone
I'm
has
a
ever
good
done.
guy.
Yeah, exactly. The only good thing Post Malone has ever done was that song from the
From
Spider-Man soundtrack.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
That's it. I don't want to hear shit else
And
from
that
him.
only
Like,
grew
this is
on
a
me.
man. Yeah, the way it was used in the movie was brilliant and it was a good song, but fuck him otherwise. The way this man came into the cultural consciousness was creating a song called White Iverson.
Hmm.
You are a white man who no one knew at the time, who was very mediocre at rapping, and you're comparing yourself to Allen Iverson. You're calling yourself White Iverson, and now you're saying, "Oh, black people were mean to me. They called me
You
a culture
literally,
vulture."
that was how you
But
branded
you
yourself that way.
you set yourself up as that.
Absolutely. Um,
As much as I cannot stand Macklemore, I don't think he's talented. He sucks. He should have never won a rap award. But at least he knows he's a white man. He's
yeah.
not like out here
He's free
trying to
Palestine
be.
all day. So
Yeah, I fuck with him now. Like
yeah, yeah. No,
those, I miss those kind of white rappers. Like he never tried to be like, oh, I'm from the hood. I'm so tough. I'm so hard. Like he's rapping about thrift stores and shit. Like whatever. Stay in your lane.
mhm.
You could appreciate rap. You could be a rapper. Whatever.
I never
But
liked
to
Post
try
Malone.
to
Yeah, go ahead.
to try to use black culture to like jumpstart your career and then cry about how the same people that you vultured off of and leached off of to get your fame,
Are making fun of
you're
you.
crying about those people. You wouldn't be performing at the Grand Ole Opry or whatever the fuck you're doing now if it weren't for the black community. If it weren't for us hearing White Iverson and be like, oh, this white boy's all right. Let's give him a shot.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think it's really like similar to the breakdancing thing is it's like really similar. It's like you want to ride the wave of like exploiting black culture for success and then jump off of it at your nearest convenience. It's like you get to borrow, cosplay being black or borrow black culture, but then you get to check off to take off, take a step off the train ride whenever you feel like it and go back to your white privilege. And in fact, like double and triple down on it by being like appealing to these people who think that black culture is like this dark evil thing. And so you're like, oh, I'm a good boy now. I made the choice to go back to my country roots or whatever. And something
There's
that
like, isn't he from Syracuse or something? Like he's
no,
not even
he's
from
not
the
one of
South.
us. I don't think he's from Syracuse. But he could be, but I don't think so. Yeah.
I think he is.
Um, it could be, yeah. But like one other thought I had about um that is I think
Yeah, he was born in Syracuse. Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, but he grew up in
He did move
Pennsylvania.
to Texas later in life,
Texas,
but
that's right. He's a Dallas guy because he's a Cowboys fan, which is just the worst. Um,
he's still not a real Southerner. He's from New York State. Like,
exactly.
so
And
culture vulturing yet again.
yeah, shoot, hold on, it'll come back to me. Oh, so one other thing that I think that makes this current wave of this sort of like white rapper to country star like sort of pivot that everyone like kind of seems to be doing, this like blurring of like, oh, I'm gonna ride the wave of like hip hop culture and black culture and then sort of transition to more country. It's like Post Malone and like this fucking, I think, Jelly Roll guy, and there's all these other people that kind of are like in between these this kind of spaces. And I think what's
Did Jelly Roll, was he a rapper?
I don't know, but it's the same. I think it's really he has the song with Post Malone. He might have just been a country star, but he has like a quote unquote like hip hop aesthetic or something comparatively to country stars. You know what I mean? He's got like
I think he just
um
has a lot of tattoos. I don't know if he, I don't know. Maybe I
yeah
just don't know enough about him.
okay. I'm just like I don't necessarily just mean him, but there's kind of I feel like um there's like this blending of hip hop and country that's happening by white people who are stealing, like even stealing that concept from not just Beyonce but Lil Nas X, who they ridiculed for both of them for doing this, you know. But then now when white
Yeah.
people do it, it's cool, you know. But when black people, black artists started doing country, they're, you know, it's horribly offensive. But when white people imitate black people doing country, then it's cool. You know, it's like what the fuck? But I digress. Um, but yeah, did you have more thoughts on any of that?
Um, no, I don't think I do.
Yeah,
Fuck Post Malone. That's what I
yeah.
say.
I could say I never liked him from the beginning and I still don't like him now. I'm not sure exactly where we are on time, but I think we're probably going to be getting cut off shortly to go on break and then come back. And we're going to talk about our top 3 favorite martial arts movies or shows, right?
Yeah.
But any other, you know, closing thoughts about Culture Vultures, Post Malone, the Olympics, or anything else we've talked about? All right, welcome back from our little break. Usually this is the point where I'm like, oh, did y'all have a nice break listening? It was probably 10 seconds for y'all, but it was like 10 minutes for us. It's about, yeah, it's been about 10 minutes / a day and 10 minutes, but we are back. And I didn't even need to tell you that. That's how honest we are here at Something of a Podcast is, yes, there was when 20 seconds passed for you, a whole day passed for us. And here we are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
didn't just change my outfit for no reason.
yeah, see, I took this off and then I put it back on, the same clothes. Like I had them here waiting. I swear I didn't just like 24 hours this, even though I normally do, and I will now. I wanted to like make sure I still had it put together, in case we were gonna pretend like this was still the same time. And then I think when I saw your outfit, that's when I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna say, it's been a minute. Well, it's usually been a minute. Now it's been a day. Okay. Way too much time me rambling about that. This is the second half of our show where we always do our top three, our top three countdown for the week. Yeah, so should we dive right into that?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Um, so you picked this topic. Do you want to explain what it was?
Okay. So I don't know if people have noticed this, but I usually try to go for a top three that like something in the last top three triggers for me. So in our sports discussion, I think I brought up the movie Never Back Down, which is like a MMA movie. And so that led me to pick top three martial arts movies or top three kung fu movies, which was a very difficult topic, I'm sure, for both of us, probably for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
There are 5,000 movies that I want to talk about today, but obviously I don't have time. It was like picking my favorite child, trying to pick a top three. So this is probably not my actual top three. This is probably just the three that have kind of branched out and influenced my taste in movies. So do you
Yeah.
want to go first or first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Yep.
So my first choice in my top three favorite martial arts movies um, is not just that I'm picking this film, it's this star of this film. I decided to pick like this one. So let's say many of his other works would be honorable mentions for me, but my choice, the first one I'm going to go with, is probably the most actually like pure martial arts movie on my list, maybe like the only like, traditional quote like what would be a martial arts movie. And that it would be the 1995 Jackie Chan classic Rumble in the Bronx.
Excellent
Um
choice.
yeah, which is just as I was thinking about this topic, I was like I realized that a lot of the thing, like movies that I liked in martial arts were Jackie Chan stuff, because that's like who I grew up on. And like Rumble in the Bronx was the first one I saw, like that's where for a lot of people in America, that's kind of like was his like kind of US, I don't know about debut or just sort of like what really hit here. And then that
Yeah,
period of time, after Rumble in the Bronx, he put out a bunch of movies that I ate up like crack, I almost could have put Rush Hour or Rush Hour 2 even as my choice, but I decided to go with Rumble in the Bronx. He showed me this level where he could be like fun and funny, where it's like this humor level to martial arts where I would say Jackie Chan is one of the best slapstick comedians we've ever seen, like in history,
for sure.
physical comedian, because the stuff he did was not only spectacular, but also like really funny, and he had a really good comedic timing and sense of humor. Rumble in the Bronx, there's like a scene in the beginning when he's like in one of the fight sequences, he's getting punched in the stomach, and the guy stops punching him, but he still does the like he's getting hit in the stomach, like miming it, and then the guy until the guy realizes, and then he stops, and it's just like this the most like you know just silly humor that I love. But yeah, so my pick would be the Jackie Chan masterpiece Rumble in the Bronx.
Excellent choice. I have a feeling that all of your movies are also going to be in my like honorable mentions. So there's something about martial arts and like kung fu that Black people just love. Black people love Bruce Lee, we love Tekken, we love Mortal Kombat. And so I have to start with the first time I seen a martial arts movie where a Black person was actually like the star of the movie. So I gotta go with The Last Dragon as
Mm.
my first pick. It's not necessarily my third favorite. I would probably say it's my favorite out of all of these, but I just want to mention it first because it was such a big deal to me. Like we see this character who the main character is basically like a Bruce Lee type of guy, and he's actually named Bruce Leroy. And so um he's just yeah, he's like this cool, just like Black martial artist. It takes place in a Black neighborhood, and it's like the same as any like of those old school like Jackie Chan or Jet Li or Bruce Lee movies, but the cast is almost entirely Black, and it takes place
Oh.
like in a Black neighborhood in New York City. The fight sequences are fantastic. Like all of the martial artists in the movie are super talented, and I just think anyone who loves martial arts is a movie that you have to watch.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check this one out. I don't know that I've seen it per se, because I've not necessarily seen a lot of martial arts movies. Although upon exploring this topic, I learned that I have seen more than I thought, you know, but that sounds really, I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it, but I'm looking at it right now. That sounds really good. 1985, The Last Dragon.
Yeah,
Nice. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out for sure.
yeah, and
I
the villain, Show Enough, has like the best name of any movie villain ever.
Show enough.
Show
I
Enough.
see. That's pretty good. And there's like the Shogun and the Show enough. I see.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with most of this cast. I mean, Vanity, the singer, that's I know her, but it seems
yeah,
cool though. Nice. I'll have to check that out. Oh, William H. Macy makes an appearance in this movie apparently.
yep.
Yeah. And I have just proved that I can read Wikipedia just like everybody else. So I recommend you go do that and then watch the film. That's a good choice I have not seen. Do you have more thoughts on that, or should I move
Oh
on to
no, we
my next
could,
one?
yeah, you could go to your next choice.
Okay, so my next choice, um, it's kind of its own subgenre of movies that could be considered martial arts movies or martial arts content. And that's not necessarily a movie where martial arts is like the main fighting vehicle in it, but where someone who does martial arts like in a school or a class or like to that level, like not in active combat, like that does martial arts as a like in a as a practice, is like the main character or is a main character. And so with all that said, my pick is maybe not necessarily one of the best martial arts movies, but to me, is one of the most important comedies for many reasons. And that's, I'm going to say, The Foot Fist Way, the Danny McBride movie. Are you familiar?
I'm familiar, but I actually haven't seen it.
Um, upon a revisit, so it's interesting to me. So Foot Fist Way is basically like if Rex Kwon Do from Napoleon Dynamite mixed with Danny McBride's Kenny Powers, because it is Danny McBride's Kenny Powers before Kenny Powers existed. Like this is the first thing that Danny McBride was ever in, and him and Jody Hill, who made all those shows with, who's made all those like different shows and stuff with him, made. Um, and it, if you've, now that we've seen him play this character in like 10 movies, you know, like, or a character like this, we've seen Danny McBride, it doesn't hold up as well because it's not as good of an example really as what he later does. But when it first came out, to me, it was like, it was incredible. Like, as it was, yeah, just it was just Danny McBride and Jody Hill, the writer, who's been the creator on most of his projects, TV shows up until even now when they're doing Righteous Gemstones, is yeah, it's just it's just really great for that. But upon the so I actually was listening to another podcast recently, the King of the Hill podcast that Jake Flores and Avery Moore have, and they brought up this movie and they were saying that it is that they just watched it recently and that it was unwatchable and it was really bad, and I was like mad, and I was like, God damn it all, that's not true at all, you're giving it not a fair shake. Well, I watched it recently to do this episode, and I mean, it's not fantastic. They weren't completely wrong. Um, but yeah, so yeah, oh, the reason that got brought up is because, like I said, it's a common trope, the sort of the karate classes or whatever, like Bobby Hill, for example, in King of the Hill, among a million other different characters that have gone through this sort of like, yeah, thing. But okay, I digress. I just wanted to talk about Danny McBride, who is like my favorite comedy actor ever.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch that one for sure. I love Danny McBride. All right. So my next pick, again, I had so much trouble trying to pick just three. But this one I picked because it influenced a lot of the other movies that I considered putting in the top three anyway. So I figured without this movie, these other movies wouldn't even exist. So my second choice is Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that's the movie that inspired the video game Mortal Kombat, which everyone knows is one of my favorite video game series.
Oh, that inspired that?
Yeah, so basically it was Big Trouble and Bloodsport basically that came together and created Mortal Kombat.
I see. That's interesting.
Mhm. So the movie is just silly, it's ridiculous. It has Kurt Russell playing like the asshole American who's just like he doesn't really do martial arts, I would say, in this movie, but a lot of the other characters do. So
I
I'm still
see.
gonna count it as a martial arts movie. Yeah, this is basically my favorite movie as a child. I've always loved Kurt Russell. He could do no wrong in my eyes.
I do like
And
Kurt
I think he
Russell
does a good
too.
job. Yeah, he does a good job of playing that like just like dickhead American asshole action movie staple character who
Yeah.
who also brings like a lot of comedy to these roles. Like he's actually
Mm.
really funny. So I'm also obsessed with action movies, which is obviously America's answer to the martial arts movie. And I think this is such a
Mm-hmm.
perfect hybrid of both of those genres.
I see. That makes sense. That's really interesting because I've seen this movie, but it's been a long, long time. I know that I've seen it, but it makes me want to also revisit it and see it again because I'm like, I do really like Kurt Russell and everything that you said about it makes it sound like sort of appealing. And you're right. It's like I was thinking about that while we were doing this. It's like American action movies. It's just like we put guns instead of martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as much hand-to-hand combat or whatever, or that kind of stuff. Or it's just different.
Yeah, I think the only real like we obviously had Steven Seagal, which sucks. He sucks. But the only real
Hmm.
like and he's not even American, but the only real like non-Asian martial artist is Jean-Claude Van Damme. And his career went so far downhill. But I was considering putting Street Fighter in my top, so I'm just gonna give it the honorable mention now. Street
Mm-hmm.
Fighter is one of the greatest, like quintessential martial arts video games. It was like one of the first martial arts video games to get big in the United States. Street Fighter and like Double Dragon. And
Mm.
Street Fighter was not a very good video game movie, but the performance by Raul Julia was just a masterclass. Like not even for a video game movie. He was just an amazing actor. And he ended up dying on set, I believe.
Oh, and that's the Street Fighter movie,
Yeah.
the 90s one?
Yeah.
Mm. That's rough. I didn't know that.
But yeah, yeah, it
Uh,
was an amazing movie. He did a
so,
great job
so
though.
that's honorable mention, Street Fighter.
Yep.
Nice. Oh, is it so yeah, Big Trouble Little China was your pick, and then
Yep.
honorable mention Street Fighter. Cool. Do you have more thoughts on either of those, or do you want to know what my final pick is?
Yeah. What's your second? What's your next pick?
Third pick. Okay, so I also have a couple honorable mentions. I was like unsure if this would count in the category of martial arts show, and all of my next picks, I guess, would be television. Um, so I guess real quick, what I'll say would be honorable mention would be Daredevil season 2 when the hand comes and it's all ninjas and
Yes.
Elektra, the whole ninja story arc of Daredevil. But it's not really like a all martial arts show, but it's a martial arts season arc of a martial arts heavy show. So that's an
Yeah,
honorable
I would
mention.
say that counts.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I'm gonna make it be my honorable mention. Cause my I have one more honorable mention, and I'll get to my last one. My next honorable mention would have to be the Ninja Turtles animated show from the 80s. But the reason it's an honorable mention is because to me, the most essential, like if it were three martial arts things, I would have said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, the video game is like, that's my favorite thing ever of martial arts is the Ninja Turtles video game. So I give the cartoon an honorable mention, and my actual pick is the original 1990s Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It has to be because that's like my favorite. Like as a kid, I used to love that show. I was obsessed with the original like six, with the Green Ranger in there and all that. Yeah, original cast. And I know that that's something that's really important to you too. So I didn't mean to, I hope I didn't steal your pick there, but I'm sure you have plenty to say. So yeah, that would be my pick then, would be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and those two honorable mentions. Okay, go ahead.
That's a excellent final pick. I have way too many honorable mentions. I shouldn't even start listing more, but I gotta
You
say
can go
Cobra
ahead. We got
Kai.
time.
Yeah. I gotta say Cobra Kai, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
Oh yeah.
and the original Mortal Kombat movie are three that I absolutely have to list. But my final pick would be Game of Death. It's like probably the most traditional martial arts movie I have on there. It's a Bruce Lee movie, of
I
course.
see. Yeah, okay.
I really admire, yeah, I admire Bruce Lee as a person, as a martial artist. I admire his philosophy and his way of life. Um, his son's movie, The Crow, was one of my favorite movies growing up. I just like was obsessed with Bruce Lee my whole life. And Game of Death was the movie that did it for me. It wasn't the first Bruce Lee movie I saw, but it was the one where I was like, I want to be this man.
Mm.
He has one of my favorite fight scenes in any martial arts movie. It's the scene where he fights Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, okay, yes. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so Bruce Lee was one of the first like Chinese martial artists to really just have like black actors in his movies. Like he had several movies where he had black actors in the movie. Um,
A lot of
I
black
think he
athletes,
was,
right? He was friends with a lot of black athletes, right?
yeah, he was. Bruce Lee, yeah, he just an amazing, like I said, martial artist. He created his own fighting style that to this day, like every fighting video game has a character that's basically just a carbon copy of Bruce Lee. And it just that just goes to show his influence. And even the yellow and black tracksuit that he wears in the movie basically shows up in Kill Bill and has become like synonymous
Mm.
with that movie. So it's just like an iconic movie,
Oh,
iconic
right,
imagery.
right. The yellow suit from Kill Bill. Oh, right. Yeah, I knew that was like that's like the Bruce Lee. That's from this movie then. I see.
Yes.
That's cool.
Mhm. And obviously Kill Bill is one of my honorable mentions, but I figured I
Yeah.
would do Game of Death instead.
Yeah, I thought about that one too. Just as the Kill Bill movies. And then also another honorable mention was The Matrix, I guess you could say is a martial
Oh
arts
yeah.
movie. This was a fun topic though, because I did like have to think about it for a while because I'm not like super fluent in martial arts movies, but then like revisiting it, I was like, oh, I've seen a lot of these, and I do kind of enjoy martial arts as a genre. Um, yeah, do you have more thoughts on this?
Yeah, so like earlier I said that America's answer to the martial arts film is action movies. And I noticed we don't see a lot of just like pure fighting in action movies. Like obviously fighting is very violent, but it's a lot less violent than just having a gun and just going through and just killing
Hmm.
a bunch of people. So I think, there's a choreography involved. It's almost like a
Hmm.
dance. It's really beautiful to watch. And these like martial arts movies a lot of times didn't star like traditional actors. These were people who were trained, skilled fighters who just basically had a camera put in front of their faces and were told just basically, all right, show us what you got. And so I think that's like an era of film that I miss. We don't really see that a lot these days. Like there's still a lot of like action movies, but there's not really a lot of, let's put this martial artist in a movie and let him showcase his skills. There's not a lot of like recent
Right.
picks.
Um, yeah, absolutely. There's just definitely not. It used to be more of a thing. You would see more, like you said, actual practical martial arts stunts and effects. That's why even though I was only like part kidding, I'm glad I mentioned Daredevil too, because that's like also a show that was all practical fighting effects and really actually
Yep.
had super talented stunt coordinators and teams and put together these incredible sequences like an actual martial arts show. Yeah, that gave it proper respect to the fighting sequences. It's an art
Yeah,
form,
there's a lot of work and skill that goes into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, that was a good topic. Do you have any more thoughts?
That was all I had to say. Did you have any
Okay,
more?
cool. No, not particularly about the martial arts movies, but I guess I have to come up with next week's or next episode's topic. And well, because this actually you just made me think of this while we were going over our answers, and you were talking about um the Bruce Lee movie. Which was the name of the one that you mentioned?
Game of Death?
Game of Death. Game of Death. His yellow tracksuit is from the movie Game of
Mm,
Death, and then is in Kill Bill. So I was
mm.
thinking maybe top three most like iconic outfits from a
Oh, okay.
movie. Yeah, just like
I
yeah,
like
you know
that.
what I mean? Like it could be any character, any movie, just like three like killer looks, like just like iconic outfit looks, and you can interpret that in any way that we want. I just want to talk about characters' clothes and stuff in film. Sound like something we could do? What do you think?
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
cool. Um, hell yeah. So we'll do that in the next episode. Um, and before we before we go, I did want to maybe do some plugs. We got anything going on? I think yeah. Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm on Don't Tell Rochester on August 23rd. I can't
Oh,
say
nice.
where, obviously, but I'm also doing the funniest person in Rochester competition. We're at the finals.
Yes.
Yep, so
So
that's
if you didn't
August
mention it, I was
21st.
going to. So yeah, Don't Tell Rochester. That's awesome. We also both just did Don't Tell Ithaca, which is cool. And now we get to tell everybody about it. But the funniest person in Rochester contest, I know you're a little shy, maybe you're modest, but our dear friend Kai here has made it all the way to the finals, the final 10, which started out as like close to 100 people in 3 rounds is now down to the top 10 comedians in the contest in Rochester, and you're competing for the title of funniest person in Rochester and also cash prize, which is pretty cool. Um,
Yes, I need the money. Come vote for
yes.
me.
So I was in this contest as well, and I actually took last place. If you don't remember, I was well, I
Nice.
tied for last place, and that I was eliminated in the first round. So I was tied for something between like 50th and 90th place. We were all tied. But uh you this is correct, right? You weren't in the contest at first, and you hopped on the show that you were on. Your name wasn't even on the ballot in the first round, and you still managed to somehow win the round without your name on the ballot, right?
Yep, I entered, I think, in the last 2 days of the prelims.
I
So,
remember when you entered. It was right after I got eliminated. So like I've been kind of living vicariously through you. Like it was a respawn. I died in the beginning of the game and then I respawned further in the game. You know? Does that make sense?
Well, technically, I entered like right before you got eliminated.
Oh, I see. So then that
But yeah,
defeats that theory. I was just making a joke. I thought it was funny.
uh, yeah, I'm here
uh,
to avenge you.
yes, exactly. That's what it is. Avenge my death. Yes. And no, I'm just teasing. But uh, yeah, I'm excited about it. I'll be there on Wednesday, August 21st at the Comedy at the Carlson. It is the funniest person in Rochester contest. And not only is KaiVonDoom in the finals, but also our dear sweet friend Caleb J. Goldberg, who's in his first year doing comedy as a young rookie. So also would be cool to see Caleb place as well. But I, for one, am all team KaiVonDoom winning the title, because to me, you already are the funniest person in Rochester. And it's just you don't have the official title yet from the club in this contest, which isn't always all about who's funniest. There's a lot of other factors at play. As we know, there's judging and voting and just life. There's weather. I don't know about how weather's a factor because it's indoors, but maybe it's a factor. I don't know. But it'll be, I'm excited, and hopefully we'll have you on here with your trophy on the next episode.
I don't. Do we get a
I
trophy? I
don't
don't know.
I
I've
don't
never
think so. I don't
even
know.
watched the finals.
Yeah, I haven't either. I have been at the club now more times to see you in the contest than I have for anything else put together. So I'm not sure, but yeah, I'll have to get you a trophy if you win. We'll make sure you get some form of trophy, because that's the whole point. You got to be able to hold it up or whatever. But yeah, anything else that we want to plug other than KaiVonDoom, funniest person in Rochester? We got Don't Tell Rochester show coming up. You may or may not see KaiVonDoom on the lineup. We can't tell. It's Don't Tell, but you heard it here first. I'm Mike Gamms. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or all that kind of stuff at Mike Gamms, all one word, GAMMS. We are Something of a Podcast. We're at Something of a Pod on Instagram, at Something of a Pod on YouTube, where we have you can see these videos or listen to the podcast. And we're also on all the podcast apps, Spotify and YouTube Music and all those things. So if you're whatever you're on, if you could like, subscribe, leave a comment, and boost engagement and share and all that stuff, whether it's the clips or the full episodes, whatever you see, we appreciate it. And if you see posts about Kai in the contest or other clips or anything, always like, share, comment, interact, yada yada, algorithm boosting. And Kai, where can the people find you on the internet?
I'm on TikTok, Instagram as Kai_VonDoom, and on Facebook, KaiVonDoom Comedy.
Hell yeah. So this has been Something of a Podcast, and this is something of an ending. We'll talk to you soon.
You know, I'm something of a podcast myself. I'm something of a podcast myself. You know, I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast. I'm something of a podcast myself.